I'd like you to start with is just to talk about your professional history.
I had a career in commercial real estate where I did sales and leasing of shopping centers, office buildings, and industrial properties for about 9 years. After that, I was hired away from being a contractor, a straight commissioned salesperson, by a client. The client was a ladies' clothing chain called Chico's, based out of Southwest Florida, and they hired me to be their vice president of real estate. I did that for about 3 years. Business went south, and expansion in the real estate department is kind of the first thing you cut when business goes south. So I got hired away by another retail client called Mother's Work that had several chains of maternity clothing stores around the country, and did that for a while. And then I started having pretty serious problems with my eyes, and there was a deep cramp behind my eyes that wouldn't go away, and it was pretty profound. After leaving the job with Mother's Work, I really wanted to get this thing fixed because it was a real impediment to working. So I took some time off and was talking to doctors all over the country and all over the world, and we arrived at a possible diagnosis, something called ciliary spasm. It's a tendency for the focusing muscles in your eyes to cramp like a Charlie horse. When I arrived at this hypothesis, I couldn't find anybody to accept the hypothesis. I wound up going back to Southern California, where I'd come from, and working with a doctor in San Diego. The doctor in San Diego said, "Hey, what you're talking about is rare, but it happens, and here's what we'll do. We'll give you eye drops. Use the eye drops every night before bed." About 4 months later, I woke up one morning and the pain in my eyes was gone. And he said, "Wow, son of a gun, it's rare, but it happens." And then I went back to work. I worked for a .com company that sold flowers over the internet. I worked as the director of planning and logistics, but I did anything that needed to be done, and I worked pretty much all my waking hours. The workload increased the demand on my eyes, and it was nonstop computer work. And computer work can cause all kinds of problems with even healthy eyes, and we had to increase the frequency of the drops that I used. Rolling forward, I used the drops for about 6 years, and then I was told you're never supposed to use those drops long term because the preservative in the drops is toxic to the corneas. But I found that out too late. My corneas had been irreparably burned, and I was told to stop working.
What year was it when you first started having the spasms?
I probably had the spasms all the way back to college, but I wasn't able to really put my finger on it. I just knew that there was pain in my eyes, and it didn't have much of a functional impact until probably about 1995 or 6. And then it made reading very, very difficult.
So when were you in college? What year?
I started in 82.
Mm-hmm. So you've been dealing with these eye issues since 1982, basically.
Yeah.